Good. Good evening. City Council is now in session. Please stand for the invocation by Councilman Goldberg, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Spirit, be with us tonight as we handle our city business. Help us in making wise decisions that help our community. Bless everyone present and give all peace, happiness, and good health. Bless our nation and allow it to always be the hope of the world. We ask for all of this in your holy name, and let us all say, Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Freedom of Information Act certification is required at this time. Madam Clerk, please present the resolution for consideration.
A resolution certifying the closed meeting of November the 2nd, 2022, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-37. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Suffolk hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirement of Virginia law, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the City Council of the City of Suffolk in the closed meeting.
Council, motion be in order. Councilman Fawcett.
Move to approve.
Got a motion for approval from Councilman Fawcett. Councilman Goldberg.
Second, Mayor.
Second from Councilman Goldberg. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We'll now move to approval of the minutes from the May 4th, 2022 work session and regular meeting. And a motion would be in order. Councilman Williams.
Move for approval.
Motion for approval from Councilman Williams. Councilman Ward.
Second.
Second from Councilman Ward. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepared to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We do have one special presentation this evening, a 2022 holiday events update. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Yes, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, we're approaching the holiday season, and with us this evening is Teresa Earls, Tourism Manager, who's going to give us a briefing on the upcoming events. Teresa?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, Honorable Council, Mr. Manager. The last time I was here, it was to present Peanut Fest, and since that went so well, I decided to come back and tell you about the rest of the year. Holidays in Suffolk, and I'm going to give you a heads up because you know I'm known for my long slide presentations. This is just a sampling of the great things that we have for the next 2 months in Suffolk, and I'm going to plug our website, visit suffolkva.com, because that's where you can go to get the entire calendar for the year. First, we have some ongoing events we want to mention. We have the Suffolk Farmers Market will continue every Saturday from 9 to 1 at the Suffolk Visitor Center Pavilion. That will continue through November 19th. And then we also have the Suffolk Art League's annual juried exhibition on display through December 2nd at the Suffolk Art Gallery. And then moving on to the 3rd, which I believe is tomorrow at 7 p.m., the Melissa Darden Odom Speaker Series. Margaret Hancock, she is the Executive Director of the Virginia Commission of the Arts. She will be doing a lecture at the Suffolk Art Gallery called Face Value, Portraiture in American Art. That is free and open to the public and expected to be a really lovely lecture. Then, of course, everyone's favorite, Restaurant Week. It's a great opportunity to try restaurants throughout the city for a price-fixed menu. There are 3 different levels, deluxe, premier, and ultimate. And you can try 9 different restaurants this time of year. And for a week, and you can get an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert for one low price. Several of the restaurants offer both lunch and dinner, and some just offer dinner. And you can go to dininginsuffolk.com for all the details. On November 8th, the Suffolk Business Women's Organization will host their Christmas fair at the Hilton Garden Inn, Suffolk Riverfront in downtown. And then on November 12th, the Home of the Brave 5K, Freedom 10K, and Quarter Mile Kids Dash will be happening downtown Suffolk. This is a road rage event working with our Suffolk Parks and Recreation Department. And I'd like to say that you'll see me there, but you probably won't. They do have a virtual option, and I think that's better for me. But Celeste Kellogg will be performing from 9 to noon. It starts and ends behind the Godwin Courts building. So there is a 5K option and a 10K option, and you can see the routes right here. And if you want to register online, you can at roadrageevents.com. Say that 3 times fast. But you can see what the options are. It includes an adult beverage or soda after the race, pizza from Amici's, and of course music and a lot of camaraderie. And it's all in honor of Veterans Day. On November 12th, Kay's Acres, it's our horseback riding attraction. They are having their annual fall festival from 10 to 4. It's free, and you can see their Western Town Frontier. They have a petting zoo, bounce house, hay rides, and they'll have Christmas photos with Santa, and they will have a charge, I believe it's $10 for pony rides, but well worth it. November 12th, we will have Little Chip's Fused Glass Ornament Workshop at Happy Hour Glassworks. This is a wonderful, quirky little shop in Driver, and I listed this, but I wanted you to know that they have several workshops, classes, and party ideas and different events throughout the year, and especially this time of year, it's a great option for making gifts or doing something with your team as a team building exercise. Definitely check them out. Now, this is something very special, and it's a little early in the season, but when you get an opportunity to host the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree, you don't turn it down. This year, the tree that will be on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol in D.C. Is being harvested from North Carolina, and on its way to Washington, D.C., it's making 2 stops in Virginia, one in Suffolk and then one in Chesterfield, before finally going to the Capitol. And so we are honored with hosting the tree on November 14th. It's a Monday from 5 to 7 at the Suffolk Visitor Center. It's a 78-foot tree, I believe, so it's a 102-foot trailer. It's not small. So it's going to take up a good amount of space, but we're hosting a variety of events and activities around it, including seasonal kids' crafts. We are going to have holiday story time. We're going to be giving out Suffolk-themed coloring books. We will also have the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts chorus performing. Hot beverages will be provided complimentary from PH Coffee Bar. And we are hosting our first ever toy drive for the 4Kids organization. On November 18th, we will be hosting the Suffolk Grand Illumination at Market Park, which is adjacent Seaboard Station Railroad Museum. This is produced by our Parks and Recreation Department. You'll find seasonal music, horse-drawn carriage rides, arts and crafts, of course, visits with Santa. And this year we'll be having the love letters back, and that's always a great photo opportunity. They'll be here for a week after the illumination, so it's a great opportunity if you're looking to take photos for your holiday cards. On November 19th, we're going to have another huge exhibit coming through the Visitor Center. This, too, is on a tractor trailer. It's the VMFA on the road, the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. They are bringing their Artmobile and showing part of their permanent collection, and it's from 9 to 2, and it happens to coincide with the last day of the farmers market, so it's a lovely ending for a successful season. On November 8th, we went back 18th, I'm sorry. From 5 to 8 at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts, we're going to have Red, White, and Blues. That is craft beer and live music, and it's veteran and active military discounts, and each person who comes who's a veteran will receive a free gift. And then we will have our Festival of Lights, which has been super popular the last 2 years. Sleepy Hole Park, our Suffolk Parks and Recreation, puts together this amazing drive-through panorama of holiday decorations at Sleepy Hole Park. And you can go any night, 5:30 to 9:30, from November 25th to December 30th. Then we go into our biggest shopping season. If you don't know already, November 26th is the day after Black Friday, which is known as Small Business Saturday, and so we encourage you to shop local. And Driver is hosting their first ever Christmas market, which is an outdoor craft market, so please consider shopping there for one-of-a-kind gifts. And the same day, from 10 to 4 in downtown, we'll be hosting our Restored pop-up shop initiative. We're expecting approximately 30 merchants coming to downtown. We'll be under tent, so it's rain or shine, along Bank Street. So a variety of artisan quality gifts. You might see pottery, wreaths, holiday ornaments, home decor, a variety of items. And this is in addition to the already established merchants that you find on Main Street, and of course the restaurants that are already there. This is a great opportunity to spend your money locally. On December 3rd, we'll have the Suffolk Artisan Gift Fair. This is the 11th year we've held this event at the Visitor Center Pavilion. It's a combination of a farmer's market and a gift fair, but you'll find a lovely variety of artisan gifts. We'll have live holiday music, kids' crafts, complimentary concessions, and more. On December 3rd from 11 to 1, you can also grab lunch with Santa at the Northern Shores Recreation Center. It's free with the donation of an unwrapped toy, and adults pay $5 for their lunch. And I've been told it's Chick-fil-A, so it should be worth the $5. On December 3rd, you could also go to the North Suffolk Library and learn about holidays, all the December holidays, and how they're celebrated around the world. On December 4th, which is Sunday, from 11 to 4, the Pinner House Boutique Bed and Breakfast downtown will be hosting their annual holiday market, and they will also be hosting a gingerbread extravaganza. So you can learn all the details and all the intricacies to building your very own gingerbread house. Then on December 4th, we will start hosting our Santa visits. This one will be at the train station, Seaboard Station Railroad Museum. From 1 to 4, it's free and open to the public. We just ask you to bring your own camera. And on December 7th, Parks and Rec is hosting their senior gala at the Hilton Garden Inn, Suffolk Riverfront. And then on December 9th, that will kick off the winter exhibit called The Magic Brush at the Suffolk Art Gallery. That will run through January 20th. And then everyone's favorite, our downtown holiday parade. This year's theme, Lights, Camera, Holiday, promises a very cinematic experience. So that will kick off in downtown on West Washington Street at 7 p.m. It usually lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. We expect to see everyone there. On December 11th, which again is a Sunday, at 2 o'clock, the Suffolk Tourism Office is hosting Disney's Cruella at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts. It's $1 per person, or we will gladly accept a donated canned good in lieu of the ticket cost. On December 13th, Parks and Rec is also hosting their holiday Jingle Mingle at the Curtis R. Military Senior Recreation Center. And it's hot cocoa and games, crafts, and of course Santa. Santa gets around in Suffolk. He goes to a lot of events. We're very fortunate. And that is, the cost is just a donation of an unwrapped, unused toy. But registration is required, so please see the Suffolk Parks and Recreation webpage on our main site. And then on December 13th, the North Suffolk Library will be hosting Winterfest, I'm going to say this wrong, a Saturnalia event. It's in honor of the Roman god Saturn and closing harvest, and it really has to do with the origins of the December holidays. On December 17th, the Suffolk Center will be hosting their first artist market. This is a chance to purchase one-of-a-kind holiday gifts by local artisans, and this will be indoors, but it's a great opportunity to get last-minute unique gifts before the actual holiday. Also on December 17th from 1 to 4, you can meet Santa at the Visitor Center. Again, bring your cameras. And this may be a picture of my children because I don't have to ask permission for that, but they're much older now. I just have to share that. December 17th, Tidewater Winds perform Santa Swings at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts. It's their big band experience, and there's going to be a lot of fun pre-show family activities. And of course, you can't go wrong without Santa. And then on December 18th, it's something that we love to do at the Visitor Center. We host our pet photos with Santa. And while it is free and open to the public, we do encourage folks who are bringing their pets to be photographed to donate an item, whether it's kitty litter or dog food, that we then deliver to the Suffolk Animal Shelter for the homeless pets. We've also, we take dog, cat pictures. We've had snakes, guinea pigs, anything you can imagine. And on December 30th, New Year's Eve, this is an event at both the Morgan Memorial Library and the North Suffolk Library. This is for the kiddos or adults who can't quite make it to midnight. This gives them a chance to celebrate the New Year festivities like you would on a regular New Year's Eve. Now, of course, we have our guided tours that are continuing through the end of the year. The ones that we have available in November and December are the Great Dismal Swamp Guided Nature Walk, the Historic Suffolk Narrated Bus Tour, the Cedar Hill Cemetery Guided Stroll, our Legends of Main Street Suffolk Ghost Walk. Even though Halloween is over, it remains a popular tour year-round. We also will be conducting a kayak excursion of Lone Star Lakes, and we have our Great Dismal Swamp Safaris, which are ultimately narrated bus tours with a little bit of walking. And of course, you can always find our complete tour schedule at visitsuffolkva.com. For all the details for this and more, you can go to the Suffolk Public Library site, the tourism site, or the Suffolk Parks and Recreation site and find just a plethora of events throughout the city of Suffolk, and not just for the next 2 months, but for the rest of the year and next year and beyond. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Earls. Council questions or comments? Councilman Goldberg.
Thank you, Mayor. Teresa, just fantastic. The activities almost every day, something going on in Suffolk. Someone can find something of pleasure to do in this city. So thank y'all and everyone, Parks and Rec, and everyone for doing what y'all do to make all this happen.
It takes a lot of folks throughout the city, both with the city staff and with our private businesses and organizations, to really create such a diverse and wonderful calendar of events. And we are really fortunate to have so much to offer the community and our visitors.
Council,
Thank you.
Council, any other questions, comments? Vice Mayor Bennett?
Just a comment. I
Okay.
think the presentation was great. I hope that people will see this, will be able to visit your site, because they're saying nothing to do in Suffolk. So I think they need to really look up some of the sites that you are presenting so they can see there are things that can happen and do in Suffolk. Thank you.
Thank you, absolutely.
Well, Teresa, thank you very much. And as everybody kind of alluded to, this is an amazing number of events in the next 30 days. And anyone who doesn't think that there's something going on in Suffolk just isn't looking very hard.
Just tell them to call me.
Give them your call. Okay, we'll do that. All right, thank you very much. All right, at this time, we will consider the removal of items from the consent agenda and adoption of the entire agenda as presented. Removal of any item from the consent agenda would only be necessary if any member of City Council wishes to vote on a specific item separately, and a motion would be required. If there are any items that members of City Council wish to remove them from the consent agenda to be voted on separately, a motion would be appropriate at this time. If there are no items to remove from the consent agenda, a motion would be in order to adopt the agenda as presented. Councilman Goldberg?
Move for approval, Mayor.
Gonna move for approval from Councilman Goldberg. Councilman Johnson?
Second.
And a second from Councilman Johnson. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Madam Clerk, are there any agenda speakers at this time?
No, Mayor Duman.
If not, would you please present the items for consideration?
Item number 7, an ordinance to accept and appropriate funds from the Commonwealth of Virginia Technology Trust Fund. And item number 8, an ordinance to accept and appropriate funds donated to the City of Suffolk Department of Parks and Recreation.
Mr. Manager, please provide an overview of the items.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, item 7, the city has received funds in the amount of $3,500 from the Commonwealth of Virginia Technology Trust Fund in support of the Suffolk Clerk of the Circuit Court for annual fees associated with the Tyler Technologies application used for criminal and civil cases. Adoption of this ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the general fund budget by $3,500, and there is no local match. In regards to item 8, the city has received a $5,000 donation from Mr. Carter W. Hotchkiss for the Department of Parks and Recreation to purchase and install 2 park benches at Lake Mead Park. Adoption of this ordinance will increase the revenues and expenditures of the general fund operating budget by $5,000, and there's no local match.
Okay, if there are no questions about the items, a motion is in order to approve the consent agenda as presented. Councilman Fawcett?
Mayor, I'd like to move this.
Go ahead.
Move to approval as.
There's been a motion for approval from Councilman Fawcett. Councilman Williams? We got a second from Councilman Williams. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We do have one ordinance this evening, and that is in, yes,
Just one thing.
okay.
Kristen was not just in the audience. That was there on the last item. Just want to recognize them in the audience.
Okay, Sachin? Recognize you for your donation. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Councilman Goldberg. Okay, we will move to ordinances, and we have an ordinance authorizing the city manager to accept a deed open space easement over the common passive open space within Phase 2 of the cluster subdivision plat for Meadows Landing, tax map number 43, parcel 21, account number 150979000. This is FSB 2021-12. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview of the item.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Interim Director of Planning and Community Development, Kevin Wine, will provide the overview. Kevin?
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, I promise to be short and sweet. But from time to time, we come before you all when there's a cluster subdivision proposed, right before it is ready to be recorded. As a part of their recordation, they are required to enter into a deed of open space easement with the city for their passive open space only. And this is for a subdivision off of the intersection of Turlington and Jackson Streets. This would be Phase 2 of the Meadows Landing subdivision, and ultimately this would allow the city manager to execute a deed of easement for, I believe it's about 4.7 acres total of passive open space in the subdivision. This section of Meadows Landing, Phase 2, consists of 9 total lots. Phase 3 is also planned, so we'll probably be back at this again, but this would authorize the city manager to enter into this deed of open space on the city's behalf. That concludes my presentation. I can stand by for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wine. An ordinance has been presented for council's consideration, and a motion would be in order. Councilman Goldberg,
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
got a motion for approval from Councilman Goldberg. Councilman Williams.
I second that.
We got a second from Councilman Williams. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Okay, we have no resolutions or staff reports this evening. We do have a motion to schedule a public hearing for November 16th, 2022, to receive public comment on an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of real property in fee simple and/or temporary easements, either by agreement or condemnation, for the Pittman Town Road, Route 668, over Mill Swamp Bridge replacement, and a motion would be in order. Councilman Fawcett.
Move to approve, Mayor, thank you.
Got a motion for approval from Councilman Fawcett. Councilman Johnson.
Second.
A second from Councilman Johnson. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to cast your vote. Please vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We now have a motion to schedule a city council work session for Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 at 4 p.m. unless canceled, and a motion would be in order. Councilman Goldberg.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Motion for approval, Councilman Goldberg. Councilman Williams.
Second that.
A second from Councilman Williams. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Councilmember Goldberg, can you please cast your vote? Thank you. The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Okay, we'll now move to non-agenda speakers. Madam Clerk, are there any speakers at this time? And if so, please provide the guidelines.
Yes, Mayor Duman, there are 2 individuals registered as non-agenda speakers this evening. Each person participating under the item of business entitled Non-Agenda Speakers shall limit their remarks to the services, policies, and affairs of city government and shall be permitted 5 minutes for the purpose of presenting his or her matter. Speakers appearing before City Council will not be permitted to participate in the following activities: to campaign for public office, engage in personal attacks, promote private business ventures, or use profanity. Speakers who violate these rules will be declared out of order by the presiding officer and will immediately yield the floor and be seated. Our first speaker is Ann Harris, 2455 Lake Cahoon Drive, representing self regarding Lake Kilby and Lake Cahoon Road rezoning and land use.
Good evening, Mayor Doohan, Vice Mayor Bennett, and council members. My name is Ann Harris. I live at 2455 Lake Cahoon Road. and I'm lucky enough to own a horse farm there. I'm sure you've heard a little bit about rezoning request at the intersection of Lake Kilby, Lake Cahoon Roads to change 106 acres from rural estate to residential medium. I'm here not only to bring some additional awareness to the strong opposition of surrounding property owners, but also to highlight the issues we have found with this process. This area is predominantly zoned as a rural estate district, and it should stay that way. Keeping this property rural estate will ensure that there is a predictable and orderly level of growth that blends with this area. It will also require much less from the city than a development of over 200 houses. At last month's planning commission meeting, there was a comment made from the developers team that, I quote, "Everyone getting their acre and being happy, that's a thing of the 60s and 70s and 80s, and it's history. It's not sustainable as a country." And he went on to say, "The only way you can prevent that would be to tell your children to stop having babies." I think this was a very misguided thing to say, and I hope it's not the mindset that our city wants to be associated with. I can tell you that wanting an acre or more of land is not a thing of the past. My husband and I moved to Suffolk 15 years ago into the Lakeside neighborhood. We liked the small downtown and thought it was amazing that the rural areas were so close and present in the atmosphere of the city. The longer we lived here, the more inspired we became to find some land of our own and officially settle down here. Most people who own property in the Lake Kilby, Lake Cahoon Road area chose to do so knowing that it's mostly rural estate. This is the environment we want to live in. So when the blue zoning notice signs appeared at the end of our very narrow country road, we had a lot of concern, which has grown even more now that we're learning the truly confusing nature of the rezoning and public notice process. 14 days. That's all we have between the zoning notice signs going up and the first vote going to the Planning Commission. And that is if you actually see the signs the first day they appear. And the date is not posted on these signs when they're actually put in the ground. I had to pull over on a curved part of the very narrow road to actually read the signs and get the rezoning number. There's no other information on the sign, so you have to call the planning department to find out the details. And in 2022, why is there no automated way to research this information? By the time you make the call and compare notes with your neighbors, it's already been a day or two, and you realize that there's little bits of different information that people get when they make their calls. This process does not promote transparency and definitely does not prevent rumors. To make things more confusing, the public notice that appeared in the newspaper did not even have our locale right. It said Lake Kilby Shores. There's no actual locale in Suffolk with that name, but Kilby Shores is on the other side of Holland Road. It would have helped to have the street address listed for this rezoning item, but there was no address listed. After gathering basic information about the zoning notice, you find out that in order to see the actual application packet, you have to submit a FOIA request. It then takes 5 business days to receive your request. At this point, at least a week has gone by, so if your initial research has led you to more questions, you probably won't have time for another FOIA request before the Planning Commission meeting. Speaking of the commission, why do they only get one long weekend to review multiple staff reports? We spent many hours reviewing the reports for our issue. How are they supposed to have time for their due diligence? These rezonings are big decisions that the developer can spend years working on, and the public and the commission only get a couple weeks or a few days to seek out and review the information. Also, 2 p.m. public hearings on a workday makes it very hard for the public to participate. A single letter to adjacent property owners is insufficient notice from the city. We should reach out to all the impacted neighbors involved in this rezoning process. The Planning Commission meeting isn't structured for real dialogue or sharing of information, and the developer is the only one allowed to rebut the arguments. He or she can also request to table the vote before the meeting while the citizens cannot. Why are the developers given so much deference? The city relies heavily on their actions and the impact studies that they pay to have done. Shouldn't there be time limits for the application process? And how many applications can planning staff reasonably handle at any given time? They're very busy. These developers are not here out of the goodness of their hearts. They're here to make money, and the City of Suffolk needs to start scrutinizing and being more selective about what it wants for its citizens. This has and continues to be quite the learning process. Many people's eyes have been open in this past year. We aren't asking the city for a lot. We're actually asking for less, for things to slow down. We need more transparency in the planning process and a sense of security about the neighborhoods where we choose to live. Keeping Lake Kilby and Lake Cahoon Road area as rural estate allows for growth, but in a more controlled and less disruptive way. Please keep this in mind when this matter comes before you. Thank you for your time.
The final speaker is Brian Harris, 2455 Lake Cahoon Road, representing Self regarding Lake Kilby, Lake Cahoon Road rezoning and land use.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council, my name is Brian Harris, and I live at Lake Cahoon Road, address 2455. As you guys just heard from my wife, there's this rezoning effort that's underway along Lake Kilby and Lake Cahoon Roads. Just for a little bit closer context, my farm is about 2,000 feet from this impacted area and proposed subdivision. During this public hearing, and the staff report that was associated with it, I was kind of struck by the frequent use of the phrasing, this property is within the suburban use district. I think this use of phrasing is a result of improper alignment of stated city priorities. This area was rural long before it was considered to be suburban. There's also a consistent theme that you'll find throughout city planning and public documents that talk to, quote, embracing our agricultural heritage. Specifically, in the 2035 comp plan, under the principles and values section, it states that we will, quote, protect cultural and historic assets of the city. However, agricultural heritage is not addressed in this comp plan until page 160 of this 205-page document. And there's only 3 pages that even talk to it. One of the pages is a full-page map. The other 2 have pictures, graphs, some random words. It's really void of any context. And I think it does a disservice to something that we espouse as being important to us. We essentially use a bumper sticker phrase, then park the topic of agricultural heritage as a footnote in the back of the document. If preserving our heritage is a priority, I ask you all to quickly reflect. Since 2015, what are the active steps that the city has done to make and encourage new agricultural, new starts, new investment? Are we doing anything to encourage new people to come here and become farmers or embrace the agricultural industry? What are we doing to incentivize current farmers and current landowners to continue operations? Or what are the active measures that we take to help them transfer property or transfer out of operations that they just can't do anymore? Consider this. Farming and ranching are always just one generation away from disappearing. If the knowledge and the land don't carry forward, it's forever lost. Smithfield hosted the Rural Prosperity Summit this last month, and the Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Matt Lohr, noted that ag and forestry are the #1 and #3 industries in this state. What's Suffolk doing to encourage that there's not a generational loss of our top industries or our regional heritage? I recently learned about a location called the Old Dominion Agricultural Complex in Chatham, Virginia. The ODAC, as it's called, houses all of the regional ag representatives and also serves as an event and meeting venue. Suffolk should consider something like this, something very similar. It could be the Center for Agriculture, Center of Excellence, if you will. We could have large farmer markets. I don't know if you guys have been to the market recently, but they're frequently overbooked and people can't participate because there's not enough room. There's definitely a demand. We could have shows, educational events. We could even collate our FSA, our 4-H, and other ag businesses that are scattered throughout the city all under one roof. Those of us that show horses, do rodeo, we could stay local. We wouldn't have to travel to Wakefield or Dare County. Suffolk could become a destination where people go, not just where we're from. Who's keeping track of ideas like this to serve as alternatives to warehouses and other housing districts? Is anybody keeping track? Is there a rolling list? I'm not sure. Understand that the 2045 comp plan is currently being worked, and I had a chance to sit down with Keith and his staff earlier this week to review that work in progress. I also had a chance to share some of my concerns with him and hope to include some of these themes of really highlighting and doing something about our heritage moving forward. But that comp plan's several years out, and we've got problems today and challenges today. So until then, I'd like you to consider the actual words that we and you use to address this topic. In conversation and guiding documents, we and the City Council see the words urban, suburban, and rural. And that's the order that we always see them in. Notice how we put rural last, Notice too how on the comp plan, rural and historical ag, it's last in the document. Even on the list of focus groups for the 2045 comp plan, the Agricultural Advisory Committee, it's listed last. I'm about to go over my time, but could I take a few seconds to keep talking? We're early on time. All right. It's important. I realize that the list of things here isn't necessarily prioritized. It just happens to fall that way. But what if we all made a deliberate effort to change the way that we talk and we think about our community? The rural portions of Suffolk are the literal source of our heritage. And if preserving our agricultural heritage is a priority, we should treat it as such and put it in front and make an immediate shifting in this message. This doesn't require emotion. It doesn't require a hearing. Simply start putting rural first in the things that you say. Start saying rural before suburban. If you write an email, write rural first. We're all creatures of habit, and the things that we say often become the things that we do. The whole city looks upon you guys as leaders in this community. And you really have an opportunity, I think, right here. We have a comp plan that's coming to change and some hot topics that are in front of us. This small change takes almost no effort on your part. And if you're truly dedicated to preserving our regional agricultural heritage, I challenge you to start putting rural first. Thank you very much.
That concludes the speakers, Mayor.
Okay, we'll now move to new business. Madam Clerk, are there any additions to tonight's agenda?
No additions to this evening's agenda, Mayor.
Are there any new business items that require the action of City Council for consideration? Hearing none, we'll move to announcements and comments. And at this time, I'll ask if Andy Franklin with the Media and Community Relations Department has any announcements. Jennifer coming? Whoops, sorry about that. You don't look like Andy. We'll switch that to Jennifer.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, City Manager. The City of Suffolk Human Resources Department is excited to announce the launch of their on-site training series. The program will provide learning and development opportunities that focus on enhancing competencies and behaviors needed to support the city's goals and initiatives. The upcoming sessions are on Friday, November 4th, and include topics on navigating change and managing difficult situations in the workplace. Employees can contact the HR department to sign up. The City of Suffolk's Department of Social Services CARES. DSS displayed their continuous support and solidarity in honor of October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month by Going Purple. Their goal is, as an agency, to continue to raise awareness of social and health issues through the Colors for Cause campaign. The Suffolk Police Department also recognized Domestic Violence Awareness Month by participating in a regional panel to discuss the issue. Police Chief Al Chandler participated in the panel alongside police chiefs from Portsmouth, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Hampton, and Newport News. The forum provided an opportunity to learn more about the impacts of domestic violence on the community and give law enforcement a chance to weigh in on a response in an effort to keep our communities safe. The event was also live streamed on Wavy TV 10. Suffolk's Fall Restaurant Week is slated for November 5th through 12th. From Suffolk's best-kept culinary secrets to national award-winning restaurants, Suffolk Restaurant Week promises a savory blend of the city's signature flavors. Participating eateries will offer price-fixed menus at the deluxe, premier, and ultimate levels. For additional information and menus, visit diningsuffolkva.com. The Suffolk Parks and Recs Department is excited to announce a new playground replacement project at the Planters Park. Demolition of the existing playground equipment is done, and the new playground installation is underway, with its expected completion in the coming weeks. A quick reminder to fall back this Sunday, November 6th at 2 a.m. for daylight savings time. It's also your semi-annual reminder from Suffolk Fire and Rescue to also change the batteries in your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide detectors. The City of Suffolk will observe the Election Day holiday on Tuesday, November 8th, and the city offices will be closed. Normal operations will resume the following day, Wednesday, November 9th at 8:30. Trash and recycling collection will remain as normal. City offices are also observing the Veterans Day holiday on Friday, November 11th, and city offices will be closed. Trash and recycling will run on a one-day delay, with Friday's routes being picked up on Saturday. Suffolk Parks and Rec is excited to announce the return of their Freedom 10K, Home of the Brave 5K, and Kids Quarter Mile Dash on Saturday, November 12th. The race will take place on a scenic route through downtown Suffolk. Age groups and top finisher awards will be given for each race. For more information on the race, including registration fees and race routes, visit suffolkva.us. The Tourism Department has put Suffolk on the map yet again with a special visit from the National Christmas Tree as it makes its way from North Carolina to our nation's capital in Washington, D.C., where it will be displayed during the holiday season. On Monday, November 14th, from 5 to 7 p.m., the impressive 78-foot-tall red spruce will be at the Suffolk Visitor Center Pavilion for all to see. Festivities during the tree's visit will include seasonal kids' crafts, carols, and holiday story time by Suffolk Public Libraries. Complimentary hot beverages will also be served. For more information, check out visitsuffolkva.com. And of course, on your screen are the various ways residents can stay connected to the City of Suffolk happenings. And before I wrap up this evening, I wanted to share additional announcements that were so significant that it warranted a special video presentation. So please enjoy this highlight reel of our recent big news accomplishments.
October 2022 was a very busy month for us here in Suffolk. From new faces, to new buildings, to new technologies, the progress of our continually growing city is undeniable. These exciting announcements may vary in nature, but a common element amongst them is that they all bring great opportunity and benefit to the residents of the City of Suffolk. Here's a quick recap of the shared successes over the last month. With the recent expansion of new fire stations across the city, the demands for staffing soon followed. Suffolk Fire and Rescue is proud to announce the graduation of Class 42 from the Hampton Roads Fire Academy. These impressive men and women began their journey 1 year ago and have completed the intensive state-certified basic recruit training requirement and the grueling physical training necessary to become Suffolk firefighters. The Suffolk Parks and Recreation Department held a dedication ceremony for the newly named Curtis R. Miltier Senior Recreation Center. Formerly called the Whaleyville Rec Center, the facility was renamed and dedicated to the longtime Suffolk City Council member and former mayor Curtis R. Miltier Sr. for his leadership and dedication to the city of Suffolk. Miltier served as the Whaleyville Borough Representative on the Suffolk City Council for 40 years after being elected to 10 consecutive terms. He passed away on January 31st, 2022 at the age of 91. In addition to the new building signage, a plaque will also be mounted in the entryway of the building. Mr. Miltier's family was present to unveil the plaque alongside other distinguished guests such as Suffolk City Council members, Congresswoman Elaine Loria, and Congressman Bobby Scott. The 44th Annual Peanut Fest was held October 6th through 9th at the Suffolk Executive Airport. Not only did Mother Nature show up with sunshine, but she also brought with her an estimated 100,000 attendees over the 4-day event. Saturday saw record-breaking attendance figures as fest-goers enjoyed the carnival and amusement rides, concerts, demolition derby, and peanut butter sculpting contest. As a special attraction this year, the Tunnel to Towers 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit served as a patriotic living history museum that encouraged appreciation of the first responders and military communities. The first annual Peanut Fest golf tournament, spearheaded by two local teams, Jacob Bass Knight and Owen Cobb, raised more than $30,000 for the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. The 2022 Suffolk Peanut Fest was a terrific success for all parties involved, including the attendees, festival staff, and the over 200 dedicated volunteers. The 45th Annual Suffolk Peanut Fest is slated for October 5th through 8th, 2023. Suffolk sure knows how to land the big names, with nationally recognized brands that have decided to call Suffolk home. As each of these businesses open its doors, they bring not only economic prosperity, but also employment opportunities for Suffolk residents. Amazon ORF3 celebrated the opening of its newest robotic fulfillment center in Suffolk, with policymakers and community leaders during a special grand opening event. The 3.8 million square foot facility is Amazon's first robotics fulfillment center in the state. More than 1,500 employees at this facility work alongside innovative robotic technology to pick, pack, and ship smaller-sized customer items such as home goods, electronics, toys, and books. Governor Glenn Youngkin announced that the Lowe's Companies, one of the largest home improvement retailers in the world, will establish a 1.5 million square foot coastal holding facility in the city of Suffolk, which will create 100 new jobs. The company's first distribution operations center in Virginia will be located in the Virginia Port Logistics Park and will receive imported goods through the Port of Virginia to supply regional distribution facilities. This is a $78 million investment slated to be completed in 2023. And finally, ground was broken on the newest addition to the Bon Secours Health Center at the Harborview campus. This 98,000 square foot hospital represents an $80 million investment that will adjoin the existing Bon Secours Health Center. Currently, the health center includes an emergency department, imaging center, ambulatory surgery center, and physician practices. This new surgically focused hospital will include 80 medical and surgical beds and up to 4 operating rooms, serving as an extension of the services currently offered on campus. This top-notch facility will be completed by 2025. Suffolk continues to make strides to bring internet to all across the city. The progress and expansion of broadband technologies within Suffolk are bringing opportunities to both businesses and residents alike. The recently announced Cox Communications license agreement will allow for new business services in the city and thus provide the Suffolk business community with additional options for service. This also means that Suffolk business owners will now have access to internet speeds as fast as 100 gigabytes per second. The cable, internet, and phone company recently spent about $3.5 million installing nearly 30 miles of high-speed fiber internet cables in the city through its Cox Business Service. Cox leaders say the move will bring fiber to roughly 1,500 businesses. The networks run through downtown Suffolk as well as the Chuckatuck and Driver neighborhoods. The Virginia Telecommunications Initiative is in full swing and continues to bring internet connections to residents. Since the groundbreaking in July, Charter Spectrum has made significant progress across the city. As seen in this map, the areas shaded in yellow are the areas that have either been released for connection by Spectrum or are slated to be released in the coming weeks, representing approximately 120 households. The remaining areas in yellow are soon to follow suit, with the areas shaded in orange designated as the next phase of construction in Suffolk. Progress has been swift in the city, and Spectrum has advised that the targeted date for total construction completion is February 2023. An agreement 2 years in the making. The franchise cable agreement with Chantel Cable Television is officially underway. Founded in 1902 as a telephone service company located in the Shenandoah Valley, Chantel is now recognized as a diverse communication platform that will bring the most advanced fiber technology in cable, internet, and telephone to the residents of Suffolk. Chantel has committed to providing services in the areas highlighted in green within the next 2 years. The Chantel service area represents 75% of households in the city, giving a much-needed internet alternative to citizens. The last 30 days have been packed with exciting news and milestones in the city of Suffolk. But one thing is for sure, the future of the city is brighter than ever, and it really is a good time to be in Suffolk.
Thank you. That concludes our comments for the evening.
Thank you. Certainly a lot going on in Suffolk the last 30 days. I gave a little note to the city manager. I said, look, we got a little mini state of the city going on here that we're working on. He said, imagine that's just 1 month. We got 11 more months we can add to this between now and May when it's time for State of the City. So with that being said, I will now move on to comments from council, and we're going to start with Councilperson Butler Barlow. Let me get you turned on. I just hold it. Bam, there we go.
Got it? Great. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thanks for that video. That's tremendous. And nice to have some good news stories. It's easy to get down about all the negative things in the news, but it's excellent to see so many great things going on in Suffolk, and thank you for presenting that to us. Also wanted to thank Ann and Brian Harris for their comments tonight. I really appreciate you all coming out and appreciate what you have to say, and just appreciate you taking the time and being here with us this evening. I attended the Fire Academy graduation this past week. It was great to see 31 new officers being sworn in, and thought that was a great event, and was happy to make the trip, and actually knew one of the young men that was being sworn in, so it was a little bit personal too, but very exciting to see that many new folks, and hope that we can do the same thing with the maybe with the police force. Get a nice group like that would be great. have missed a lot of things lately because it is harvest season, and I'll just end by saying it is harvest season still. I tell everybody all the time, be patient with us out there. We're working hard to get a crop in. It's the way we make our money every year. And to my farmer friends out there who have been frustrated by the weather, we're going to get it done, and hopefully we'll get it done before Thanksgiving, which is always the goal. And hope everybody has a safe and productive harvest. With that, I'll say goodnight.
Councilman Johnson.
And I'm on. Good. I too would like to start my conversation here by thanking the Harrises for coming. I feel like I've already become friends with these amazing people. But it's not about the Harrises. It's about literally hundreds of small farmers in our city. And they know I'm on my soapbox for 2 minutes. But the point being, these people, these good people all over our city, in Chuckatuck, in North Suffolk, in my borough, that just want to be recognized, that they picked Suffolk because of the lifestyle. And as important as it is for us to seduce developers and get them to come here and build homes and help us, it's just as important to recognize that we need to retain our flavor and recognize that the small farm is the farm of tomorrow as farms shrink and shrink. So we're fortunate to have people like them. And I've been answering my phone a lot lately, and there's a lot of people out there that feel this way. So I thank you guys for coming. And to hear the voices of the city, we're hearing the voices of the city. People want to be heard, and they want us to recognize what they're about. And I think we're all here sitting, waiting, and listening. So with that, I say thank you guys for coming and making your point. I want to say thank you to Carter and Gina Hotchkiss too. They left a minute ago, but they're pretty remarkable people that do a great deal for our city and for our community. And the fact that they gave 2 benches should be something for everybody to take a look at. Parks and Rec, where are you? We can always use outside help, and to recognize loved ones, something like this is really wonderful. And I, for one, appreciate what they've done. New fire recruits, thank you. I couldn't be there. I had another public meeting, but it was, the pictures were amazing, and we are so happy to have this kind of a recruitment class. And I repeat for the chief over there too, let's do it for the police chief. Let's get some more people. But I do appreciate your guys being on the roads. I'm seeing them everywhere these days, and it's really nice, really wonderful. And when people bellyache about a ticket, I go, oh, wow, don't speed. Public Works Academy, it's on its 4th week coming up, and this week they're going to be talking about transit, fleet management, and mosquito control. I've been to all the classes, and it's really amazing the information they've given out to me. So hopefully this is something we can continue with as we go forward, because it's been a great learning experience for me, and they've done a tremendous job. I'm hoping, I know the manager is looking at it, but I just wanted to shout out to a couple. I'm getting lots and lots of emails about North Suffolk and what the tractor trailers are doing up there on Shoulders Hill and whatnot. But I can assure you that the city is working on this, and we are going to come to something that works for everybody, because it's all important to our city. There's a new group formed called Care for Suffolk, if you get emails and watch the news. And there are people that want to help us maintain a vibrant and a city that we're all going to be proud of. So I appreciate that. Anytime a new group comes forward, it's a good thing. Everybody respects everybody, hopefully. I think that's everybody I really needed to. That's good. Thank you, and have a good night.
Councilman Fawcett.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be a few minutes here. First off, we'll welcome our new EDA director over in EDA, sitting in the back. Welcome to the city of Suffolk. We hope you brought a whole suitcase load of good things for us to look at, because we're always open for business. I want to say Amazon was so impressive. I mean, you saw the pictures on the screen, but to go there and physically go in that building and see it operational is just amazing. I mean, there's hundreds of robots in there. Of course, the staff people that are working, they're still recruiting people. They're only about 31% of their hiring out of 1,500. So you do the math, there's still plenty of jobs over there. And it's not really that hard to work. The robots do most of the work. So it's quite an impressive thing, and we're lucky to have such a great place in Suffolk, because it's going to help generate a lot of things that we can use. And I want to say also, piggyback off of what Councilman Johnson said about the Hotchkiss folks. donating that $5,000 put those 2 benches in. It's a big deal for me. I love it. I mean, I love to see, I know them a little bit, not as much as probably Mr. Goldberg does, but they're great people, and they took their time to write that check and give it to our Parks and Rec to benefit Lone Star Lakes, which I think is great. I mean, excuse me, Lake Mead. I'm got Lone Star in my mind. But anyway, I appreciate them and their efforts and what they've done. Domestic violence, Chief, great. Let's keep the dialogue open on domestic violence. That seems to be very much out there, and it happens quickly. Tempers get going and things start to happen, and we've had some incidents in the city in the last few months that have been domestic related a little bit. So I appreciate y'all being engaged in that and continue to do so. The vets are coming up on Veterans Day Friday. If you know a vet, thank them. You know, they put their heart and soul in to help protect this country. And just giving them a little, hey, I appreciate your service. Even if you see a military in uniform somewhere, just say thank you for what you're doing. Would it be appreciative? They don't get thanked enough, and they're out there putting their lives on the line, which we've lost a lot of military in our time. So just think of Veterans Day as not just a day off, but those that sacrificed and those that are still out there doing their job. So just keep that in mind. The Fire Academy was just impressive to see 31 new, young firefighters stand up there and take the oath of office that went through nearly a year of training. The training is brutal. If you don't believe it, you could just get a taste of their video they had. I mean, I've been through that training. I know that training. I've been involved in it, and it's brutal. If I had to do it again now, I'd die because I couldn't do it. It's got so much to it. So I want to congratulate those 31 firefighters for coming to our city and being a part of our family here in Suffolk to protect our citizens within our city, and they will do a great job. And just remember, they don't just firefight. They do everything else. Car crashes, medical emergencies, hazardous stuff, you name it, they do it. So just keep in mind that every time you see that red truck going down the road, if they're going on an emergency, someone's having a bad day, keep that in mind, as well as our police department that are challenged every day by things that are happening within the city. But anyway, congratulations to Class 42. I went out to the groundbreaking of the Maryview, or we call it the Harborview. I call it Maryview because I'm so used to it. But the Harborview Hospital was phenomenal. That is going to be a big deal for the city of Suffolk to have that hospital up on the north end that's going to be able to do remarkable things to help people. And it's a state of the art. It's just going to be amazing to see it come. And we need that facility. Badly, we need that facility. Because there isn't enough facilities out there, to be honest with you. Any of you that try to get anything done these days, it takes an arm and a leg to get into a doctor or get something done medically. So that's going to be, we're going to look forward to seeing that in the next few years. The Curtis R. Miltier dedication was phenomenal. I think dedicating the community center was the right thing for Mr. Miltier. He put a lot of heart and soul, time in the city of Suffolk, and he is just, I wish he could see the dedication we had because it was absolutely great. His family, I appreciate his family coming out. I appreciate all the dignitaries that showed up and showed good support for him and his family. And of course, that recreation center is really taking off out there and really doing some things. It's the only thing out there in Whaleyville, so, you know, it's a good place for people to go. So I'd like to say that that was really a great, great ceremony for that. remember to turn the clocks back. Don't forget those smoke detectors and those carbon monoxide detectors. If you don't have a carbon monoxide detector with the winter coming, get one. Get it in your house. Check those batteries and those smoke detectors because you don't want to be a statistic. And if you don't think so, it only takes a few minutes. If you do not have a smoke detector, and I can guarantee you're going to have some issues and may not be here. And carbon monoxide, the same, because the carbon monoxide, you don't smell it, you don't really taste it, you don't do anything. It puts you to sleep and it's over. So get that, turn the clocks back, remember to do that. You could save your life. With that, Mayor, I hope everybody has a great week, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next meeting.
Councilman Williams?
Thank you, Mayor. I will be brief. First, I'd like to thank those speakers that came up tonight and spoke. Just want you to know we're listening. We're hearing what you're saying. Also, I attended the dedication ceremony on Friday, October the 28th, of the renaming of the Wellerville Center to the Curtis R. Miltier Center, Recreation Center. Well-deserved. Like Mr. Fawcett said, wish he was here to have seen it. Also, I'm not going to talk about grass and weeds, but I am gonna talk about. I need Mr. City Manager, if you would. I need to know the status of the speed limit and Kids for Play signs in the 400 block of Hunter Street. There's a lot of traffic going through there now because it's a detour for Madison Avenue, and I travel that road on a daily basis, and there are kids in the neighborhood, and there's a lot of traffic going through there. So if we can get it posted and some signs, kids that play, that would be very helpful over there. We would really hate for something to happen. With that, my word of the month for November the 22nd is helpful, and is giving or ready to give help. And with that, I'd like to say good night.
Councilman Goldberg?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief also. I do want to thank the Hotchkiss family for what they've done. They serve, Mr. Hotchkiss also serves on one of our commissions and does a great job with that for us too. The Fire Academy, I love seeing the firefighters. It's just a great need for the firefighters. We do have Veterans Day coming up, but please also include in that when you thank one, the police officers and our firefighters along with our veterans for what they do for us on a daily basis. Please do that, because domestic violence, Chief, as was talked about, is still there, and we still have to deal with it, and we need the help of everyone to if you see something, say something. Also, great to see our new Economic Development Director. Look forward to working with you and having you on board, and wish you all the luck, and just keep running. Just keep running. Also, the Amazon building was just fabulous. I had a chance to talk to many of the employees, and many of the employees also said that they were now looking for homes in Suffolk. So I hope they can find those homes so they can come and live here also and be a part of this. And with that, Mayor, I say good night.
Councilman Ward?
Yes, I also attend the Curtis Miltier Recreation Center, like most of we have said, well-deserved. And I think he will be just smiling all over himself about that. And I think he really earned it in his work with the city of Suffolk for 40 years. Amazon, like most you said, is breathtaking just to see what's going on, how big it is, and the people in Suffolk will enjoy that. I mean, that is one place that you look at it and say, wow, this in Suffolk, amazing. And bond secure in the northern part of Suffolk, I also agree with what the councilman's well needed. It's going to be a great opportunity for the people of Suffolk to have that medical center up there. I want to say, don't forget, no, I ain't gonna say forget, vote Tuesday, November 8th is very important. This time, we need to get out and vote. This is a very important election. And I will ask city manager, we had talked about the speed bumps. Like I said, Old College Drive, they are really going up and down there. And there's some type of way we can do anything with that. I visited Hampton, and I seen on Campbell Street, on Newport News, they got a different type of speed bump that your car just flow with it. It's not no, but I'll see if you can do something on Old College Drive. That's going too fast in that community. With that, I'll say God bless.
Vice Mayor Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to start out as well, thanking the speakers for coming up tonight, speaking. Let your voice be heard. So that's great for you to be able to come and let your concerns be heard. Also, I'd like to say on the dedication of Curtis R. Meartier Senior dedication, I think it was a great turnout, and the family was very, very pleased with their support that was given to him in that recognition. And I cannot thank council enough for the support with me asking that that be named after him and giving that support to the name of the building of Curtis R. Meartier Senior. And I think it was something that he had lived a long life, and he gave his life just about to Suffolk in some way or the other. So that is something that the family is very, very proud of, and I am as well. Again, I'd like to thank the council for their support in doing that. Also, the Redevelopment and Housing Authority tonight came up and gave us the presentation of Eagle Landing and all that. I think that was a great project. That is something that I think we see that they are really trying to improve the quality of life. And I think council, we need to continue to work closely with them on trying to get more affordable housing in the area, and where they'll be able to, they gave us the numbers, and they were up there, over 3,000 people that really need homes. So I'm hoping that we will continue to work with the Redevelopment and Housing Authority to see what we can do to continue to improve our affordable housing for these people. Also, on the Amazon tour, I think it was great, even though I had to ride the elevator some. There's a lot of walking, climbing, so it was nice enough to show me where the elevator was, so I took the elevator. But it was a nice tour, and it was amazing to see all the activity that really takes place in a building of that size. Also, I'd like to thank the city manager and staff for working with Amazon staff, talking about the truck traffic and concerns of Suffolk Meadows and Shoals Hill Road. And the report that I've gotten is very positive, and I'm looking forward to that continuing. Unless you want to, and I'm not putting you on the spot, if you want to have some comment on that now about that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, Vice Mayor, we have been working closely with Amazon all along, and they've really engaged into the issue. And one of the key things that, we've got to realize in today's world, it's GPS truck routing and everything. And if there's a glitch in the routing where we have Naismith Parkway that was closed in 2004 by resolution to through trucks, it sort of sends a different message to GPS. So we're overcoming that. Amazon's overcoming that. And of course, it remains a work in progress, but we hope to bring back a report to council as we promised by the first meeting in December, but we'll probably have a report and then some recommended actions that go along with that. But in the meantime, we're making headway, I believe. And I've been in contact with one of the residents in Suffolk Meadows, and he's got my direct line right now. So, but we'll continue that communication, both, all three, us talking with Amazon and working with the residents in Suffolk. But we hope we can get this worked out.
Thank you. They are very pleased to know that. I've had a few calls about that, and they are very pleased to know that you are taking a look at that, and we're looking to have some action taken on that very soon. Also, while we're talking about it in that area, they are complaining about speeding, Chief. I know everybody's doing that, but they are saying now on National Parkway, the Chesapeake line, where the 4 lanes, see, they are really speeding now. I told them, well, maybe we could sit out and make us some money with speeding. but they are complaining out there about the speeding in that area from Suffolk. They're all the way through, but they're talking about it in Suffolk. So if you will, if you have somebody who can take a check on that, I'd appreciate it. I also attended the firefighting graduation, class of 42, 31 new men and women, and that's the largest class I believe I've seen since being on council at one time. So that was a great number, and the auditorium was packed. I mean, it was a full. They couldn't have had it at any smaller place because it would not have accommodated. But they really had a great turnout for that, and I think the families was very proud to have their men and women being a part of Suffolk Fire and Rescue. Also, I'd like to thank the city, Parks and Rec, and Kevin on the pop-up vegetable stand and all on the east end side. They're down at East Suffolk Rec Center now, and they are now saying they're getting ready to start harvesting more green vegetables, so they'll be able to get more vegetables into that area. I'm glad to see that still taking place. One other thing that has called my attention by being up here with early voting, that has started and that will end on this coming Saturday. And there are some neighborhoods that was split during the precinct. I think we need to look at that because they split the precinct of John F. Kennedy and Hosier Road. And it took half of the neighborhood and sent it one place and half sent the other place. And that was confusing to a lot of people. So I hope that we can go back. I know we had a lot of problems right up to the time to get the maps approved. And maybe that might have created some because of time-wise. But I think that's something I would like to have revisited for the next election. That we make sure that we can try to get these neighborhoods back to the right precinct where they're supposed to be. They voted. Half is going to John F. Kennedy, half is going to Hosier Road. So I hope we can correct that. I didn't know it until I was approached by it, so I just want to bring that to the attention of staff, whoever's working with the consultant or whoever, that we make that correction on that. And with that being said, some of the ballots was off because of that. And that has caused some problem with some of the people. So I hope that we will look at that, and I know it's too late now to do anything about it, but I hope we can correct action on that for the next election coming up whenever. So, and with that, I would like to say again, thank you all for your service and all the military men and women. We want to recognize you and say thank you for your service. And thank you, Chief, for you and all your men and women for what they do to keep our city safe. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. In regards to the Harris's comments, what I'm coming away with is based on their comments and particularly some comments from Councilman Johnson in the past. You know, we need to possibly revisit some of our processes right now in regards to notices and timeframes and information provided. I don't think there's no desire to not provide transparency. We just have to ensure that we have the means and the methods and we actually do that. So I believe this will be it has been discussed and will be a topic of discussion. Probably after the first year, we'll have a retreat, and these are some of the things that we need to visit. Make sure that there's enough time for people to respond, and not only the citizens, but also folks on the planning commission and even ourselves on city council. If we're not made aware of a particular issue that is coming, then we don't know about it till after the planning commission has seen it. And under normal circumstances, that will come before us in roughly 30 days. So on a lot of the issues, it's not going to be an issue, but on the larger ones, there is. And I've already spoken to the city manager, and we did change something several months ago, which is a notification from the manager in advance of rezonings that have been submitted for consideration. So we will actually get a chance to eyeball, at least, from a cursory standpoint, what's coming, to see if it may be something that is going to require considerable more attention. Because there's one thing about processes: when you establish a process, the process is not based on the size of the project. And there's a lot of mundane things that come through. So we just need to have a way that we will have the ability to review some of those items and make that decision. And if it is something that's coming, as far as our citizens are concerned, the sooner we know about it, the better it is. Not that it's, but like I said, we've got a lot going on, and people ask me all the time, well, what's going on over there? What are they building? And I'll tell them, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're the mayor. You're supposed to know everything. No, we don't know. If we don't have to approve a conditional use permit, or we don't have to approve a rezoning, then we don't find out about it any quicker than the public does. When they start put a sign out there, that's when we find out, unless I make a phone call and say, hey, Mr. Manager, what's going on over here? I got some folks asking me. So there is a process to everything. And we will continue to work on that, because I'm a firm believer it's a lot easier to put a better process in place than try to rectify the problems that are caused by that process not being in place. So we hear you. We're going to work on that. There was a lot going on the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to go fast. Most of it's already been touched on. The Amazon ribbon cutting. That's huge. If you don't have anything to do on a Sunday, go take a nice leisurely ride, come down to Hanger Right, go to the back of the industrial park and take a look at it. It's amazing. 3.8 million square feet. The place is killer. It is the largest building in the state of Virginia, with the exception of the Pentagon. So as I like to emphasize, it is the largest tax-producing building in the city of Suffolk. And lots of times, we can be, we say we're pro-growth, we don't want any growth. We've got to have growth, but we also have to balance what we're doing. It's going to be a balancing act. It's one of those things you can't have your cake and eat it too. So there has to be some growth to generate tax revenue. If we don't generate tax revenue through businesses, through economic development, then the entire burden falls on our citizens. And Amazon will probably generate, I'll get the assessor out there, so I'm just going to chunk some numbers out there. I'm not holding you anything to this, but it's my understanding just the real estate tax from the Amazon buildings, $2 to $2.5 million a year. Am I close? I'm getting a head nod. So I'm close. Okay, put that in perspective. That is more income generated than the 2 cents we reduced everybody's tax last year on your real estate tax. And that's something that everybody has to participate in. And at a time when we're dealing with inflation and increased costs for everything, anything that we can do to try to provide some relief to our citizens in regards to taxes, has to be considered. But we also have to balance it, because, our city does have a particular character. We want to maintain that. So that's going to be a constant thing, and hopefully we'll try not to mess it up too much. Bon Secours groundbreaking, that's another huge project. It's going to provide a lot of really high-end healthcare options for our citizens in northern Suffolk and also here too. It's not that far. I can't remember how many dollars, like an $80 million investment. I mean, it's a big chunk of change also. Fire and Rescue, Badge Pending Fire Academy, I regret that I wasn't able to attend that as well, but to have that number of recruits coming to our city, I mean, it puts our Fire and Rescue Department in pretty good shape. And compared to a lot of other cities, I mean, our police folks are down a little bit, but keep your fingers crossed. We got some stuff going on. Chief's telling me good stuff. You know, we're hanging in there. And all things being equal, we're in pretty good shape. Dedication ceremony, everybody's talked about that. For Councilman Milter, I couldn't think of a more appropriate way to memorialize 40 years worth of service to Councilman Milter. And his family was there, had some dignitaries there, and of course his name's on the building, so he will not be forgotten. Oh, let's see here. One other thing, I got an email in regards to a couple of our police officers here. You know, Chief's looking at me, he's holding his breath right now, but he don't need to hold his breath. It's from Scott, and I'm going to butcher this name, Dewan, Neprud. So I'm going to guess and say Neprud, but anyhow, live on Wedgewood Drive. And I'll just be brief and read the email. It says, please reach out to Officers B. Johnson, Cron, and Chapman and express the gratitude that my wife and I share for the extra efforts conducted while we were away from home last week. I very much appreciate the vacant house check process and have utilized it many, many times in the past ever since first relocating here in 1981. The service is robust, documented, and always provides me with a sense of safety and protection of property. Not all police departments offer this type of service, so we are very fortunate. That is not lost on me at all. For those that may review this email as a preliminary review for the intended recipients, I am counting on your protocols to ensure the communication reaches all parties. So, express my gratitude there, and your citizens, you know, lots of times it goes unsaid and we take a lot of things for granted, but we have some of the greatest personnel I think there is. I mean, through our entire city staff, hands down. I'm not prejudiced or anything, just saying. And I would do my quote of the night. My quote of the night is probably the oldest quote I've ever come up with, and that is from Pericles. Pericles? We all know who Pericles is. Yeah. Some Greek politician that was around from 495 BC to 427 BC. And I looked at it for a minute. I said, 425 to 427, that's backwards, isn't it? No, wait a minute, it's BC, so you start with born on the big number and you die on the small number when you're on this side of the curve. So I got that straight. And this has to do somewhat with the vote. We do have an election coming up, so I said my last couple of quotes had to do with elections and politics. And this is going back to 495 BC. And his quote was, just because you do not take an interest in politics doesn't mean politics won't take interest in you. Couldn't have said it better myself. And with that, I wish everybody a good evening, and I will see if we have a motion to adjourn. Councilman Fawcett?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to adjourn. Councilman Williams?
Second that.
Second from Councilman Williams. We will probably not hear any discussion of this motion.
Nope.
Council members, prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
This meeting stands adjourned.